Lorraine Gregory Communications. And this is Ask a CEO, the show designed to take us inside the C-suite and have a conversation with the leaders of some really impressive and important companies. Today, we have the leader of LUCID, Mr. Han Jin, and he's the founder and the CEO, obviously. It's an AI startup and a deep learning platform to generate 3D data images and videos. Now, I've seen it. It's amazing. It's amazing what you can do. Your product is Lucid Pics, and that allows you to create these beautiful images and transform photos into multidimensional masterpieces. And I'm serious when I say that. I saw it. It's wonderful. Okay? And you can share them anywhere. Jin received the Global Golden Stevie Award for Best Entrepreneur of the Year in 2018. He's one of the Forbes 30 Under 30 in consumer electronics. Inc. magazine featured him on its May 2017 cover as one of America's 30 rising stars. And the Business Journal named him as one of the 40 under 40 in 2019. Now, he's attended University of California, Berkeley as a graduate student, and then he worked with SanDisk, pretty big company. Jin co-founded Lucid in January 2015 and created a high-definition 3D camera. In 2017, he was on the cover of Inc. magazine, as I said, part of the 30 Under 30, and in 2018, he was awarded the Gold Stevie Award as Entrepreneur of the Year. Welcome to the show, Han.
Thanks for having me.
Your journey, you know, it's interesting. I interview so many CEOs, and their stories are so different. Yours is very interesting because you're not a native of the United States, but you came here in a different route. Maybe you could tell us a little bit about that.
Oh, that's a very interesting. I mean, I never planned to come here until I first left. So I grew up in Germany. That's why the weird German accent. But I went to Sweden for the first time abroad to study for a couple of years. And I was supposed to go back to Sweden, but I ended up in the United States. And so when I did my master's here, you know, in Silicon Valley, you got to be here. You got to stay here. And you got to create your own company too.
Really? Very interesting. So I understand you're a bit of a serial entrepreneur and you love starting companies. It's a little bit different. Maybe you could tell us something about the drive and the experiences you've had doing that.
I love founding startups. But, you know, if you take a step back, my parents never raised me that way. So I was none of those who started coding at 12 and started building their own company at 16. That's not my background. My background was, you know, my parents expected me to be in a large company, be in a stable job, and just work my way up the corporate ladder. But it just didn't give me the purpose, what I found in startups. And that's why I quit my job after 3 years after working at SanDisk. And ever since, I've never looked back. And it was one of the best decisions I ever made. And I really love the journey. I love the upside downs. And I love the roller coaster ride. And that's why I'm here for.
You must have scared your parents, though. You had a great job in 3 years, and then all of a sudden you go out, Mom, I'm business.
I think they're still scared. But I gave my mom a speech at the time when I quit my job, and to not scare her to a bad outcome. So I told her, you know, I'm 26 at that time, and I said, like, you know, I gotta do this now, Mom, because at some point I want to settle down. I want to buy a house. I want to have dogs, and I want to have kids, and so I gotta just be foolish now. And that's pretty much the speech I gave her and convinced her to let me do it.
Good for you. Good for you. So tell us about your company. What's the main focus in terms of business development and innovation?
Oh, for sure. At Lucid, we use AI to extract 3D information out of images. And it's kind of funny. I met my co-founder in end of 2014 in Starbucks. And he was showing me that very inspirational technology about how to mimic human vision, the way the brain processes it, and leveraging only software. And at that time, I thought, cool technology, but what are we going to do with it? And so when we paired up and started thinking about it, you know, we thought about the background I had growing up, which was, you know, born in China, grew up in Germany, always far from my parents. I wanted to be able to allow people to connect, feel present, share their memories the way they see it, and even though they're physically apart. And that's how the story started. The story around building something where people can generate and create those kind of memories and share them with each other. And initially, there was nothing to capture those 3D cameras, and so we built our own 3D cameras, and that's how everything started.
Is that right? Is it an easy process to use?
Yes, so it wasn't easy, especially building hardware and like driving it all the way to manufacturing, shipping thousands of units, delivering them to customers. It was a very, very tough journey. And everybody who does hardware out there, huge respect. So a couple of years.
You answered my next question. It was about your manufacturing background and marketing strategy, and how did you marry the two together to get the product to market? So tell me, so you had to build the beta, right? You had to go through
Yes.
the beta testing, you had to do the prototypes, you had to do all of that. Tell me about that process.
Everything, and it was one of the most painful process I ever went through. Building the hardware, just in prototype is, people think it's hard, but what's really hard is taking that to hundreds of thousands of units. I still remember, like, me and my co-founder spending a lot of time at the manufacturing floor, trying to figure out how to make this ship, how to make this functional, how to make not just one unit, but thousands of units functional. And it was a huge pain. And we had to travel back and forth between China and US, and setting up all the manufacturing, the tooling. Oh my God, I'm so happy I don't need to do it now.
Maybe the next one you'll do it all over again. So tell me, as a
Maybe.
startup, the CEO of a startup, what do you believe is your most important attribute as a leader, as a CEO?
So I think what helped me a lot during the years was always about curiosity and perseverance. The combination of both, especially being curious about new ways of solving a problem, new ways of looking at a market, new ways of solving or creating a product, always helped me. And then being able to pair that up with the perseverance, which then gets you through the challenges, building out the company, scaling the company. That was probably the best combination I could look for.
Show up every day and work hard. There you go.
Every day, work hard.
Show up every day and work hard. I tell everybody, you can only be responsible for the effort. The result is going to take care of itself eventually.
Oh, for sure. Oh, for sure.
So now you're a young man and you built this wonderful company. Tell me about your management style. How do you see yourself as a leader day to day?
That's a great question. And I have to step back and really see my experience out of school when I ended up at Sanders. My first manager taught me how to manage, and by showing me how to manage me. And so his style was very hands off, but metrics driven. So he would be able to establish metrics with me where I could evaluate myself if I'm doing well or not by myself without him. And that kind of metric setting allowed me to guide myself through the entire process. And even to this day, I still sit down with my employees thinking about what metrics would give you the most purpose and the most direction.
Interesting. So now you've got this company, you've got employees now. Now there's the whole buzzword about culture and what your company is like. Can you describe me what that's like and the culture you wanted to achieve, and how did you do that?
For sure. I think at Lucid, we believe in a culture of being self-motivated, self-driven to accomplish something bigger than oneself, ourselves. And to achieve that culture, in the beginning, it's really hard. But as a founder, basically the way you are defines the culture in your organization. And so being able to really sit down and think about, break them down into the focus areas, and being able to communicate that to your employees, being able then to drive activities around that. And then also being able to really emphasize and drive the vision around that helped us build a culture across the entire organization.
What gets Han up and going every day?
What gets me going every day? That's a great question. And I think, starting from every day waking up, understanding that a startup will throw challenges at you and will throw lemons at you. and you have to make lemon juice every single day. That's what keeps me up, because I believe that the biggest joy is to overcome those challenges day by day, and being able to see the next day and saying like, I trust in myself, I believe in myself, I will overcome the next bigger challenge tomorrow as well. That keeps me going.
You are a warrior. Very good. That's interesting. So listen, so the audience that we have is a mix of CEOs and those people who are working very hard to get to the corner office. What type of advice would you give them, both the CEOs and those aspiring to the office?
Yeah, that's a good question. I admit I'm too young to give advice, but
I don't think.
one of the one of the things which helped me a lot is the point of speak less and listen more. I think I have used that across all kinds of activities, management, in terms of sales, in terms of telling a story, in terms of interacting and getting to know new customers, and being able to explore a new market and niche. It's always about more and speak less.
That's really good advice. Really, really good. So, what is the single most valuable piece of advice you've ever gotten? Personal, business, or both?
For sure. I think it's really about believing in yourself long term. And what I mean by that, and that's something what I had to learn the hard way. Because in a startup, you get beaten up week by week, day by day. It's mostly in the short term, it just looks terrible. But and then at the same time, you look around you, look to the left and to the right, and all the people are doing much better than you. And you're just like, oh my God, I will never get out of this. But what I realized about doing startups and building my company over the last couple of years is that the more you focus on the long term, the more you realize that you crystallize yourself and you stand out when you believe in yourself long term, because the progress, the differentiation, and the impact will surface when you see yourself long term, and after years, then you will see what you have actually accomplished, and it's much bigger than what you see from day to day.
Exactly correct. You have to take the long view backwards. Say, hey, wait a minute, I got it. I remember when I got my first real warehouse type facility, and I stood in the middle of it, and I said, wow, we did this. It's a great feeling. It's a great feeling. Don't forget to do that on a regular basis. Look back and see where you've come to, because I know that's carried me a lot of times. Because you get down, like you said, you get lemons thrown in your face every day, and you go, oh,
Every day.
get beat up, but you got to get off the mat, right? So that's a good.
Correct.
I'm going to ask you one final question, and this is going to go like obsolete, right?
Yes.
Tell me one thing that most people would not know about Hanjin.
The one thing most people didn't know about me is probably that I struggle as much and as hard every single day like every other entrepreneur. And to make it look good from outside is also a very tough challenge.
True. Sometimes you need to be the actor. That's right. No matter what,
That is correct.
put the right face out in the public. So, Han, I really appreciate you spending time with me today. You're a delightful guest, and I hope you'll come back again sometime.
Thank you so much for having me, Greg.
Oh,
I always love to come back.
my pleasure. Take care of yourself now. Take care.
Take care.